Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Trust and Believe. I'm your host, Shaun T, and today I'm going to help you trust and believe in your ability to go after what it is that you want. But it's going to be a very special episode because I have an amazing friend of mine who is going to be asking me some questions. And one of the things that's going to be really fun about this is like I'm on a time limit, but I also believe that these questions that I don't know, are going to come my way, and I'm just going to have to give it to you straight, literally off the top of my head, because when I don't know the questions, I don't have time to prepare. So I can only give you the real tea. So my incredible friend, Danielle Natoni, is on the other side waiting for me because she has some really, really great questions. And it's very important for you guys to know that they are Darren Natoni approved questions. Even though Danielle is an incredible interviewer and extremely creative, one of the most creative people in her own right, she always checks with her husband to make sure that these questions are extra difficult for me. So get ready to trust and believe, and we're going to chat.
Somebody say hell yeah!
What's up? He's better than Oprah. Come on, y'all.
This is Shaun T, and it's time to trust and believe.
Danielle, welcome to the show again.
I am so excited. And yes, these questions are Darren approved. I read them all and I was like, what do you think? He's like, damn, those are some really good questions. I'm like, I know.
I'm really excited for this because I think it's going to be kind of like a year in review just of what I've been up to. And obviously, it's going to help going into the new year. And hopefully, you will get something out of it. Danielle, you may begin.
Okay, so I have 15 questions. So let's see if we can get through all 15. And it is kind of like a year in review. Okay, so we'll start off, we'll ease in. So, first question is this year you took on a new fitness challenge by hiring a personal trainer. What is the number one thing you have learned about yourself through this process?
Great question. The number one thing that I learned about myself through this process is that I love being a student because the last 20 plus years of my life, I've been a leader. And while I've been through mental health, I took tennis lessons from obviously tennis pros and people who are better than me. It's something about refining my passion of fitness through having a personal trainer. And the other reason why I love being a student of hers, specifically of Kristen, is because she's a doctor in physical therapy. So she's taken a lot of my wear and tear and my injuries and applying it to my body and me enhancing my body. So I love being a student because I'm not looking at it only as like how ripped can I be or how much weight can I be. I'm looking at it as like I'm lifting and doing the mind muscle connection so that I stay as injury free as I can.
Love it. Okay, so follow up to that question then is what has been the most challenging part of the process?
The most challenging part of the process, wow. Eating has been the most challenging part of the process because and this is going to make a lot of sense to a lot of people because as you know, as a Beachbody coach and taking people through different programs and putting people on nutrition plans, while everything is really designed to be great for you, it can also backfire in your mental space and it could be a detriment to your mental space because a lot of times when you're doing a nutrition program, you're thinking more about what you shouldn't eat and you don't focus on what you're enjoying putting in your body. And then I did intermittent fasting for a while, and it was like, don't eat from this time to this time, which I still think is a really great lifestyle of eating. But this was really tough for me because initially I said, I have to eat a lot and I have to change my brain into thinking like me eating a lot is not going to make me gain bad weight. And it was really challenging. It's so much better now. But even like last night, I had to drink a shake. And I'm just like, no, like you have to drink this shake. And it's amazing that I go to bed feeling really good and full and I feel good. and I wake up the next morning and my body has rested and it's back intact. The flip side of that is I love eating and I no longer like be like, oh, I'm gonna eat this little meal and I'm only gonna eat this protein because I want to be 180. I don't do that anymore. But it's still tough to eat all the food that I need to eat. But listen, okay, it's all that glycogen is like filling up my muscles and I love it.
I love that. That's so great. Okay, so switching topics a little bit, you shared a lot that you've been working with a therapist and had a lot of amazing breakthroughs. What's something you've realized through this process that has been the most enlightening for you?
That I'm a high achiever. I had a terrible childhood, and one of the things that I was told when I was a very young kid is that I'm lazy. I was called turtle, like I was slow. Even though I made the honor roll and stuff, like it was just reinforced to me, like I would walk slow when I was with my family because I was like enamored by things and I would be trying to learn about them. But I was called slow and I was called lazy because I just kind of like moved at my own pace. And so you don't know me as that, but I also said to my therapist in the very first session that I had with my new therapist, I was like, why do I feel lazy? Like I just feel so lazy. And I even said that to Chip one day. He was like, what the fuck are you talking about? He didn't say that, but he said something like that. And and then my therapist was like, well, it's just because you're a high achiever. A lot of my professional athletes feel the same way. Like they work hard, they do all this stuff, they have achieved incredible amounts of success and they still feel lazy. And it's something about being a high achiever combined with your past self that makes you feel that way. I don't need to work hard to prove that I'm not lazy. Like I'm actually working hard to be like, wow, I'm a high achiever. And I'm like relishing in that because I think that's a really high honor.
Okay, so I'm going to add in an extra question now. So now there's going to be a 16th because that made me think of something. So then on the flip side of that, when you are having a lazy moment, right, which taking away any bad connotation of that word, but you're having a restful day, do you find yourself then having to battle that as a high achiever, knowing that it's okay to have a restful day?
Only when I compare myself to my husband, which is really, really crazy because I love when we put the kids to bed. I want to sit down. I want to like watch a Netflix show in our theater, or I want to, go be intimate. And Scott is like, I need to close up the house. I need to take up the trash. I feel like a kid again. Like I shouldn't sit down. Like I should go do this. And we actually had an incredible conversation about it. And he only does that because of stuff that happened in his childhood. When I'm reading the books at bedtime, like he's finishing all that stuff. So now we finish at the same time and then we can go actually have an evening together instead of like, because he would get into bed like 35 minutes after me and then he want to shut it down. And I'm like, I've been in the bed for an hour. And then we would have more discussion instead of intimate time. And so we had to work together to do that. But that was the only time I started to feel lazy. And then, we kind of chatted about it. And he was like, no, it's it's me. And I was like, okay, and then you kind of have to talk even deeper. Like, I don't want to take that away from you. Like, I want you to feel like the house is closed up, but we kind of have to figure this out. So yeah.
Love that. Okay, so the twins just turned 5, which is absolutely insane. It's insane. One, I feel like they were just born, but also I feel like they're smart enough to be in college. So it's just crazy. But what is something in your parenting style that you do differently than you thought you would have done differently before you had kids? So like, before you actually had them, you're like, oh, this is how I'm going to parent. But like now you actually do it this way.
So it's interesting. I think I am treating them more like adults than I thought I was gonna do. Like I thought I was gonna have these kids, and in the morning I thought I was just gonna be like, "Oh, let's play," or like, whatever. And I sit down and I have conversations with them, and we do math questions every morning. You would love this, Sander. Like you can ask Sander any math question. Like you can ask him 160 plus 160, and he's getting the answer right. I'm being entertained and also like teaching, and it's just like really weird. Like it's just a completely different thing that I thought what our mornings were going to be like. They come into our room sometimes and wake us up, but they get up, they're having their conversations, they're either playing their games, and I come out and they're like, can we have some math questions? Can we talk about science? And it's just like, whoa, like this is way different than I thought when I was going to have a 5-year-old who's not even in school yet. So that is really, really, really different. Cause when I was a kid, it was like, wake up, I'm playing with my brother. It was like cereal. It was, you move on. There was no super, super family dynamic in the morning with spending time. So yeah, it's very surprising to me, but I like absolutely love it.
Sticking with the twins, and it may be hard to pick one, but try.
Mm.
Do you have a favorite memory with the boys so far this year?
So this happens a lot, so I can't pinpoint the individual time, but let me tell you about Silas. Oh my God. Like he is the wildest human that the world has ever met, but he's also incredibly sweet. Every time I finish reading him a book at night, it does not matter. I finish the book and he plops up and he's like, "Can I give you a hug and a kiss before you leave?" I said, "I'm not," and I'm always like,
Oh,
"Absolutely." And then I'm walking out the door. He said, Papa, I hope you have a really restful sleep." And he does it
oh,
every single night, unless he like is super tired and he passes out. Yeah, every night, and then Sander will hop up and be like, "Okay, I want a kiss too," and he like kind of does it, and it's so weird. These two are literally the opposites of Scott and I. Like I made Sander, we say that in a funny way, and he is like Scott a lot, like super logical. Like I don't got time to deal with that. And Silas is like me, he's super expressive. Like he's like everything is like on level 562. It is literally the love that they give, but like it's like Silas, it's incredible. Like it is incredible, like the way he's able to express himself to you. It's insane.
that's so sweet. And I think my heart just like literally melted. I can't wait to see, like, it's been so fun to watch them grow. It's going to be so cool to see what they're like as adults.
They're at an age where it changes every week. Like you're
Yeah.
just like, "Who are you?" And like, "What did you just say to me?" And I'm like, "What?" It's really fascinating.
Yeah. Okay. So we're getting ready to close out 2022 and head into 2023. What one word or phrase would sum up what you're hoping to feel or experience in the new year? So, what's 2023 going to be all about for you?
So the term is growth, but I feel like that's so vague. So I want to be a little bit more specific. I'm really trying to grow in my business and I want to use my everyday experiences to help that grow. So here's what I say. In therapy, it kind of goes back to therapy. I said to my therapist, I was just like, I just have all these things going on and I have like contracts and I have all this stuff. And I'm like, I need to figure out what it is that I want and what's going to make me grow and not sit in this place of like, I'm partnered with this, so I'm with this company, I'm doing this, and like making everything go toward what it is that they want, if that makes sense. Shoulder surgery definitely helped because it changed me the way I train, which opened my mind up to, oh, well, I don't have to live in this kind of same space that I've been living in. And so I literally, my therapist and I talk, I'm literally doing all different kinds of things that I enjoy and seeing which one of those thrills me to be able to grow into a new business owner, to work less, to take that laziness and high achiever and make it worth something that gives me more time to myself. Personal growth is having more time. Like I think time is like your most valuable commodity. So I'm completely fine with doing things that are making me feel really, really great instead of doing what I think people think I should be doing because of what they know about me. I don't have to do that. You know what I mean? And it's happened. Like I have to be okay with people not being a part of my world anymore. Like I lost 100,000 followers on Instagram and I only knew that because the point number changed. And I was just like, "Oh, well, this is kinda cool," because, like, my engagement is, like, super high, like, more people are interested in what I'm doing, but I'm shedding the fat, and I feel like it's giving me more time to focus on what I want. Growth by giving myself more time by enjoying what I want.
Trust. I 100% get it. Okay. So, speaking of time, Making time for you and Scott is so important, especially with a hectic work schedule and young kids. What has been your favorite date night this past year with Scott?
Okay, so my favorite date night has yet to happen because I know the trip
Mm,
that I'm taking him on for his birthday. We went to the Maldives last year. We were all together. But this one is going to like completely change his life. And it's going to make me so incredibly happy. Like I'm so excited about it. So that's in the future. But if I go back to like my favorite date night of this past year, and I can't go into super detail because it's not this podcast friendly, it's more wine night friendly. But it was what we did for our 10-year wedding anniversary because we had done everything. Like we've been to dinner, we've gone on a trip, we've done all the things that you could do. And this was like a super outside of our comfort zone. Like, let's explore something so wild and crazy together. It just fueled this like incredible amount of trust that we're journeying on. And, just like when you think you can't love or know somebody any further, like when you do something outside of your comfort zone, it just kind of takes you on a journey of more conversation. You get a little deeper, you learn a little more things that you didn't know. And so I kept that podcast friendly. So it was a really amazing date night.
okay. You had the honor of marrying several couples this past year.
Mm.
I am a beneficiary of Rev T back in the day. But what do you love most about officiating a wedding?
Oh, well, I've only been able to do this at 2 of the 4 weddings that I officiated. So, you and Darren's wedding was super small and intimate. And, because of our connection, like, because I know you guys super, super, super well, it was more of like sharing a moment. And then I did Alex and Steve's wedding. It was like super well planned out and everything, but it was more of like, they were like, hey, this is what we want. This is how we want the ceremony to go. And it was like super dope. But the last 2 weddings that I did was different in a sense of like, wow, like this is cool because Taylor and Brock's wedding was crazy. I walked down the aisle, it was raining. And so I'm navigating the rain, people with umbrellas, the bridal party walking down, the women having on, kind of silk like dresses. And so I'm trying to make this wedding incredible for the couple by not letting the rain get in the way, but by managing how cold people are. But what I enjoyed most about it was I was able to change the dynamic. I was able to take the rain away. And so because of the way I was able to officiate this wedding and the energy and power that I gave it, and so many people walked up to me and were like, oh my gosh, like we're cold and freezing, and the way you were able to manage that was amazing. And it was super fun to do. It was kind of like I was able to direct this energy so that these 2 people would have a memorable day without being like, okay, it's raining. Like, let me rush through this. I was still able to give them their time while figuring out all that. And then the last wedding I did was also really interesting because I'm Rev T, but I'm definitely not a preacher. I mean, I'm not a preacher of the Bible. But, this particular couple, some people in their family were like, you sure like this person's not a minister? We have family members that are ministers, like they could, officiate your wedding, right? So, they're talking to me and like, they're like, we're not going to do that. So I was like, let me give them a prayer. I was like, I'm going to give them a prayer. Let me tell you something. I'm not going to curse in this zone because it probably just wouldn't sound right while I'm cursing. While I was quoting Bible verses. I was going all the way in. And again, those same family members walked up to me and they were like, oh my gosh, that was really beautiful. And then somebody came up to me, they were like, I'm officiating a wedding in 2 weeks. Can I get some tips? I'm like, no, you can't have any tips. But I did give them a tip. But the thing that I like about it most is just being able to help the energy of the actual ceremony.
Wait, so there's your new business idea, Rev T's Officiant School.
I think so too, but people aren't going to want to pay that much. It would be a lot because, I ain't cheap.
Yeah. Okay. We know that self-care is important, but what does self-care look like for Shaun T? And is that any different than what self-care looks like for Shaun Blocker?
They are one and the same. Thank you for asking. I used to separate who Shaun T and Sean Blocker was, but then I realized that just wasn't good for my mental health because why am I treating one body differently for different things? And Sean Blocker fuels Shaun T. And that's exactly how I look at it. Like if Sean Blocker's not happy, if I'm not like feeling good on the home front, I can't go out there and be Shaun T. So when I'm doing my recovery or, like tomorrow, I'll spend like a good hour just doing recovery. That's for Sean Blocker. And Shaun T is going to benefit from that. He is. Sean Blocker is the most important. And that way, people who get Shaun T will get the best of Shaun T.
I love that answer. What is your favorite room in your house currently and why?
I would have to say my bathroom. Like my bathroom is lit. Like it is so just because like it has like, I grew up very poor. You know this. Like I was on the government assistance, like my family, like we didn't have a car that worked properly. And my bathroom just makes me feel successful because the wallpaper and the lights and the shower, it is like it's literally like my safe haven inside of my it has my closet, it has a tub, it has, I have speakers. Like I go in there in the morning and I spend 45 minutes getting ready just because I love being in there. When me and Scott are like either brushing our teeth or we get ready for dates in there, we have this huge mirror and we try on clothes. And so it has like that good connection. And then when we come out from the hot tub or swimming, the whole family runs in. It's like super connected to where our pool is. So like the whole family runs and we all take a shower in our shower and we're like laughing. The boys are having like a water fights. And it's just interesting because it's just a bathroom, but we have like a lot of fun in there. It's just like a really cool spot that would just be super random.
That's great. It's just a good reminder that any room can have magic if you create it there. So,
Exactly. I love that.
okay. So, oftentimes we take on new challenges and hobbies, and past hobbies perhaps take a back seat during that time. Is tennis still part of your life? And if so, how are you fitting it in?
I played tennis 3 times this year.
Mm,
Like, do you know how insane that is? That's insane because I played tennis sometimes 7 days a week, or at least I would at least play 4 days a week and at least an hour and a half to 2 hours of those 4 days. And then this past summer, I played like 3 times with a guy who I knew that when he was 12 years old and now he's 18. It's like so funny. I do want to play all the time. I want to play a lot. But the fact of the matter is my coach moved to Idaho. So it was kind of like, okay, I can't really play anymore. It's been really tough. Like I really would love to play every day, but I also don't have time like I used to, especially because I'm now focused on like physique competition I'm gonna do next year. So I'm not happy about it.
Okay, so I'm inserting a bonus question again. Hope it's okay. So, you said you're going to compete in that physique competition next year. So, what was the thing that made you say, "Okay, I'm going to do that"?
So I wasn't going to because I was just like, this is just crazy. Like, I mean, I loved how people were training for it, but honestly, like this is gonna sound really vain. Like I look really fucking good. And so I was like, you know what? Like, I'm not even trying to be ripped right now. I'm not trying to be ripped. I'm just trying to like gain weight and be really strong. And, there were people who would be like, oh my gosh, like you have great genetics. I know what that is, but it's me. So I realized that once I got to a point of doing super hard workouts and my shoulder got better. And then I was just like, I was building a body that I never was able to develop in this way. I was like, that would be like really fun to do. The last 8 weeks, I'm not really excited about because it's like cutting down and getting super shredded. I'm not necessarily excited about that, but I'm really excited about the process. And it's just another way to get on stage. I've never been on stage in this capacity. I was a professional dancer. Obviously, I've been on stage for TV shows, I've been on stage for musicals, I've been on stage for fitness, but I've never been on stage in something like a physique competition. You did pageants, right? Like it's different. It'll be pretty interesting to say the least.
I think there's just something really fulfilling about having like a goal to work towards, and there's like a show day or like a, that's like with the pageant, right? There was like the day you were there, and I think the same will be true with your competition. Then there's going to be the day, like all of your hard work gets to come to fruition on that one magical day. This is like a very silly question, but also important because I know that you love this as much as we do. So any shows or movies this year that blew your mind that we need to watch?
Well, I really love Wakanda Forever. We just saw that one. I love it. I'm a true crime fanatic, and Dahmer was fascinating.
Oh my gosh. Like how many people could have stopped him along the way? I was just infuriated the whole show.
It was fascinating. I was like, how is this even possible? And then, like, believe it or not, and I'm talking about it now, like, Love is Blind is a really interesting, like, it's campy, and I know people are like, this is dumb, but I find it to be extremely fascinating because, Scott and I watched it together, and we were always like, what if we met behind a wall? Like, do you think through conversation we would have, I'm like, I don't know. Like, I have no idea about that. But then when these people move out, when they see each other and they move out into the real world and like the dynamic change and the things that people argue about and like political and family, we've cried over not because of these people's love, but just because I'm just like, I'm so thankful I found you. Like, yes, we've had experiences with that kind of like stress in our relationship and had to talk through something like that, or whether it's insecurities. And I just think if people look at it, if couples together watch it in a non-reality show way, they will actually be able to build some conflict resolution strategies for their own relationship. Because a lot of times, when you look from the outside and you're like, oh, why is he acting like that? Or why is she acting like that? And we would just kind of like talk about what would make us feel that way. Every time we watch an episode or a group of shows, 2 or 3, because we usually watch 2, we end up holding hands because it's a great way to hopefully bring you together. Or maybe like you realize you don't want to be with that person, which is fine too.
I could never get Darren to watch that show. I did watch season 1 though, and I found it fascinating. I haven't watched season 2 because you know him. He just
Oh my
can't.
God, but you should watch it.
Okay.
You should watch it. It is
Okay, I will.
season 2 is good too. Like, it's good. Like, it's
Yeah.
reality show good, but
Yeah. Okay, so what is currently your relationship with social media?
so, oh my gosh, how do I answer this? What is my relationship with social media? Like, I'm gonna say it like this. I am so done with the algorithm. I am so done trying to create this amazing content. I do not give like, I literally am like this tree looks really nice. I'm posting a picture of the tree because it's what I like. And I didn't do that, but like, I don't care how many likes you give me. I don't care what kind of comments I get. I don't care even going into the new year. Like, I'm not a political person, but I'm like, at this point, like, people are fucking crazy. And if I happen to want to go off because this is how I feel and this is what I want to put out there, I'm done with the algorithm. I'm not spending 35 years on creating a video for a platform that's not paying me for it. If a dance challenge comes up, I'm as a professional dancer. Like, I can learn that in 15 minutes. Like, that's not an issue for me. It's fun. But I'm not trying to put out this content that's like, if you subscribe to my subscription page on Instagram, you are getting the stuff that you pay for. Like, you're going to get behind the scenes of my new stuff that I'm doing with Beachbody, some family, my motivation. Like, send out voice memos. I do like really fun stuff for these people. But if you're just on Instagram, like, you're going to get me. You're going to get exactly who I am. This is not my full-time job. Like, I'm just not doing it, And then like, I introduced Twitter, which is, I take body physique pictures, and let's just say I make good money on Twitter in a certain kind of way. Actually, like, Facebook is like super chill because they love family, they love fitness, they love real talk, they love motivation. I treat the platforms differently, but I think overall, I don't spend as much time as I used to. I realize that with social media, and this is not to discount like some of my friends who teach social media training. I'm like, if you have a business and you're using this as your tool in your marketing product, I'm like, by all means, do it and make all the money. Like, go for it. Like, it works. But I'm just not doing that. Like, I don't have time. I definitely used to be like, oh my gosh, like this got 20,000 likes. Oh my gosh, now I'm like, most of my stuff is getting like over 10,000 likes. And now I'm just like, I don't give, like, it could be 50 likes. And I'm like, I had a good ass time posting that. And I think that
Good. Prob
there's probably a lot of people out there who feel the way that I feel. I have like a good relationship with Meta too. And I love it because they actually love me. So the things that I post, they're like, they love that I post what I post because it's me. But I know there are a lot of people out there who feel the same exact way. Like you have a full time job and you're trying to build this social media platform, and everybody's aiming to be like the Kim Kardashians and like these people that have hundreds of thousands of followers. And they think that like because you have 176,000 followers, you have $176,000, and you don't. Not everybody does. And then there's TikTok. Like when I had time during the pandemic, I would post on TikTok every day. Like I had time. And I also know that like great relationships aren't built like on the front page of the app. Great relationships are built if people value what you say because you're saying it, not because you're trying to get them to like what you say. And great relationships are valued in people who subscribe to the things. Like I have the Unity community, I have a subscription program, I have my wine night club with my husband, and I have this podcast, and I have my fitness stuff. And I'm like, I'm cool, and YouTube, but
Okay. So then, like a follow-up to that, it's 10 years from now, the boys are 15, pretending that the social media atmosphere is what it is today. What are your thoughts surrounding the twins and social media use?
while I can't predict the future, what I can say, and I hate to be like, I hope that they feel this way because I mean they're going to be their own person. They might love social media and they might be super talented in something or super creative or an astrologer. If they have something that they really think is valuable, that's fine. Like I'm not going to say, oh my gosh, like, and who knows? They're probably going to be living in another world. Like I don't know what the world social media is going to be in 10 years. But anyway, my whole point to this is our goal for our children is that they don't give a if somebody likes them in that way or not. Like they're going to value interpersonal relationships and the people who are around them. I hope that they value themselves and what they do, and they're focused on either, like I said, maybe they'll be in science, and maybe they'll be in like, maybe they'll be archaeologists or sports, or hopefully they are so enthralled in that and they're just performing at a high level that if the social media happens, like if they are a good ice skater and they post about it and people are like, oh my gosh, like you're a good ice skater. Hopefully, whatever they do, if they post on social media, it's what they want to do and not try to bring people onto their platform. I think that's the part that's so frustrating is you open up this app to get followers. I do understand it in a business standpoint. Like if you're like, I want to make money doing this because I have something special to offer, I get it. Like I understand if you're business wise, but you open up this app to get people to like you. Like that's kind of up, you know? It's fine if you go at it like, this is what I have to offer. And it'd be really great if people who are into this come vibe with me. But we have the like button. You see your insights and like all these numbers start to matter. It's just like weight loss. Like it doesn't matter. Like it really does not, unless you are absolutely being authentic to who you are. And that's the hard part for a lot of people.
All right, you've made it to my final question, which is it's not that deep. You're fine. You've added a lot of new body art over the past few years. What's the story you are trying to tell through your ink? P.S. My
Very
husband helped me with that last question.
I love his ink. I'm not trying to tell a story at all. Someone said to me the other day, like, I'd have a better artist for that. Like, if you were going to do that. And I'm like, well, I didn't get it for you. Like, there's nothing about what I put on my body that's for anybody else. The only thing that's really great is like when I get a new tattoo and Scott is like, oh my gosh, that's so hot. Like, oh, like I love, like he loves my ink. I was on Twitter and Scott posted a picture and like there was somebody that commented, they were like, oh my God, please don't mess up your body by getting tattoos. Like your body's so beautiful. And I'm like, shut the up. Like nobody asked you. And he's getting one. Anyway, I don't get tattoos for anybody. Like I love it. It's so like everything has a meaning. And when I look in the mirror or if I look at a photo shoot that I did, I'm like, this is so cool. And I just like it. I'm not trying to tell a story. Cool.
Maybe let me reword that.
Okay.
So, though I loved your answer and I
Okay.
love that you're doing it for you. So, maybe instead of what story are you trying to tell, and I know you can't go through all of them, what makes you say, like, okay, I want this and I want this here? Does that make sense? Like, I guess maybe what's the motivation behind adding a new piece of art to your body?
I'll use like this arm, for instance, which I haven't really, it's not done yet, but I mean, you know who that is. Like, it's Scott's face. It's like, so like Scott is here and like, so I have my astrological sign right here, and then there's going to be Scott, and then down here will be something that represents Silas and Sanders. So this is like my family arm because it's on the side of my heart, and then this is my side with like, I'll just here I have like the vows that Scott said to me, and then I'll put the ones that he said over here. This tattoo is a phoenix rising. So I used to have this alpha, and this little thing was a phoenix, but I just wanted to make it like bigger. Like this is the clarinet was the first instrument I played, and then now I use my voice through podcasting, and so it's like super fun. But I think like I dig deeper right here. I just kind of think it's cool and I love it. And I do it for me. I never really kind of like thought about that in that way. And I know some people, obviously Darren created another language for his tattoos, which is like really amazing, you know. And plus the other thing is what I find to be incredibly cool is the relationships I build with tattoo artists. Like this entire
Yeah.
arm minus a couple things was done by one person. And like my chest, this tattoo was done by one person, and I built an incredible relationship with him. And this tattoo and this was done by another person, and he was great. And my tattoo on my leg, this tattoo was done by this woman who was like really incredible. And I think I go back to those people because I know they're doing it with care. It's not just like a off the cuff. Like I have a small one that I went to a tattoo shop that I'm like, I know they can do this. It's simple, but I go back to the same tattoo artist because I feel like it's fun building a relationship with them.
Yeah, I get it. I'm more like you than my husband, right? Each time it's just like, oh, like I want this because of this. And I don't care if anyone else likes it. So, Shaun, you have answered all of my 15 questions plus 2 bonus questions.
Yes.
They weren't that challenging. I tried to encompass, what I thought, might be interesting to all your podcast listeners and just things that I kind of wanted to know too. So thanks for all your great answers.
Yeah, they were great questions. I think a lot of them that were non-specific, but I feel like, the ones about the kids and, like what next year is going to be like, and, people who do have tattoos, I think it's all self-reflective.